Hi, my name is Malia Ellis, and today I'm going to be presenting my critical assignment. So, for our critical assignment, we were instructed to choose and research a contemporary health issue. So, today I'm going to be discussing anxiety. So, just really quickly, I'd like to address the picture I have on this screen. As someone who suffers from anxiety, I thought this was a great depiction of what the illness feels like at times. Of course, anxiety is very different for everyone, so you can't totally put a label on what it feels like. But when I did speak with some roommates and people I know about how it makes them feel, they all agreed that this was a great image depicting that feeling. All right, so first and foremost, what is anxiety? Anxiety is described as the feeling of fear, dread, and/or uneasiness. Now, within the realm of anxiety, there are many different types, including obsessive compulsive disorder, social anxiety disorder, specific phobias, post-traumatic stress disorder. So, like I said, there are various types of anxiety. With that being said, because there are so many, I'm going to choose on just one of the several types of anxieties to discuss today, and that is going to be one of the more common ones, which is generalized anxiety disorder. So, generalized anxiety disorder is when an individual experiences chronic, exaggerating worry about everyday life. So, these worries can include worrying about work, relationships, or finances. And I would really just like to emphasize, though, that this is exaggerated worry, of course. It's not just like, you might think, oh, worrying about finances, that seems pretty normal, but this is very chronic and exaggerated worry. It's very debilitating for people. So, this disorder affects 3.1% of the US population. And of that 3.1%, less than half of those people actually get help for their anxiety. So, when someone has generalized anxiety disorder, they experience both physical and psychological symptoms. Because there are so many, I'm going to list just a few, and just like I emphasized before, anxiety is different for everyone, how they experience it. So I'm going to go through a couple of the more common physical and psychological symptoms that people experience. So for physical symptoms, this can include muscle aches or tension, an uneasy, kind of like a churning stomach, shortness of breath, heart palpitations, so when your heart's racing, and fatigue. Now, for psychological symptoms, this can include difficulty focusing, which could even just be like focusing on watching television. People are sometimes unable to do. Difficulty falling or staying asleep, and then also just a constant feeling that something terrible is going to happen. Perfect. So now we understand what these symptoms are of anxiety, what the definition is, or generalized anxiety, I should say. Now, we need to understand, why do some individuals have anxiety? So firstly, there are risk factors that can kind of induce someone to develop anxiety. So these risk factors include trauma, stress, personality, the use of drugs or alcohol, genetics, and also other mental health disorder diagnoses such as depression or schizophrenia, bipolar disorder. And then in addition to the risk factors, we also know of some physiological reasons for the onset of anxiety. So within recent studies that have been found, they found that there were abnormalities in a brain neurotransmitter called gamma aminobutyric acid. I think I'm pronouncing that correctly. And having the excess of this acid, this gamma aminobutyric acid, may make a person susceptible to generalized anxiety. And a lot of times they found that the accumulation of this substance or of this neurotransmitter is because of genetics. So if you have the excess of this neurotransmitter, someone in your family most likely does as well. In addition, another study found that the brains of people with generalized anxiety disorder have weaker connections between brain structures that make up the limbic system, like the amygdala. And this suggests the brain's panic button may stay on due to lack of regulation. So these neurotransmitters are just constantly firing. However, the connections are weak, so the brain isn't able to interpret whether a situation is or is not anxiety-inducing. Perfect. Now, so having anxiety can heavily affect one's overall health and wellness. Through some studies I found, they found that certain areas of the brain, such as the prefrontal cortex and hippocampus, can actually decrease in size. And then on physical health, sleep problems, high blood pressure, body aches, headaches, weakened immunity, stomach problems, weight gain or loss, frequent urination can all be health-related symptoms because of generalized anxiety disorder. And then people also say that having anxiety can lower one's quality of life, causing relationship problems, reducing work productivity and achievement, and it can just overall be exhausting. And as someone who does have anxiety, I can attest to that. It is overall exhausting. All right, so how do we deal with anxiety? How can we prevent it? How do we, live with it? So unfortunately, there aren't many ways to actually prevent the disorder, but there are ways to keep it at bay and learn how to deal with it. So these are just a couple examples of what you can do to, what's the word I'm looking for, just to keep your anxiety at a lower level. So that includes deep breathing, limiting your caffeine and alcohol intake, proper nutrition, adequate amounts of sleep, education about your disorder, just kind of learning the ins and outs of it, talking to someone, hopefully a professional, medication, exercising daily, practicing relaxation techniques such as yoga and or meditation. So because of all the effects I have discussed on health and wellness and just a person themselves, I went ahead and provided a couple additional resources. So the Headspace and the Hope Line are two resources that have been made for people with anxiety and also various other health conditions. So the Headspace is a meditation map that guides you through meditation. I have used it, which is how I know it's very helpful. A lot of times when I haven't been able to fall asleep, I put this on and it pretty much within 5 minutes helps me go to bed. And then the Hope Line is a number you text and they respond with information and various other resources depending on what the problem you are currently dealing with is. So yeah, I just think overall, these resources, luckily we have these. However, we need to continue making more and, providing and educating people on these resources to decrease the stigmatism that is revolving around anxiety. It is a very real illness. It is not some hoax, and it really needs to be addressed as importantly as physical health illnesses, because mental health illnesses are as important as physical health illnesses. So thank you so much. That is my presentation. And then here are my references. Thank you.